Hello, vinyl community. I'm Gary, and this is Physical Format Rock and Roll. Thanks so much for tuning in. I wanted to do a video to support Robert over at Robert's on My Turntable. He has a fantastic contest going on right now where he would like us to name between 3 to 5 of our favorite drummers. So I love drummers. I play drums a little bit myself. I thought, got to jump in here, support him, and gives me a chance to just name off some of my favorite drummers. So coming in at number 5, had to make this list, right? Mr. Charlie Watts. Charlie Watts, of course, of the Rolling Stones, the backbeat of the Stones. Can't picture anybody else in the world playing drums for the Rolling Stones for all this time. He definitely had his own feel for playing drums, the way he was always kind of slightly behind with that snare drum, gave the band a swing. He was basically a jazz drummer playing in a rock and roll band. And all 5 of these drummers that I am picking, by the way, are an extremely important part of the band that they are in, and I can't picture anybody else playing drums for these bands. So number 5, Mr. Charlie Watts. Coming in at number 4 would be Clem Burke of Blondie. Clem Burke is a fantastic drummer. He has roles where he sounds like Keith Moon, but unlike Keith Moon, he also is fantastic at keeping the beat. Very energetic drummer, exciting to watch, sounds fantastic. Definitely check out the album Eat to the Beat if you want to get a good example of Clem Burke's drum playing. Number 3, a fantastic drummer, Mr. Stuart Copeland. Stuart Copeland, of course, of the Police, who managed to combine rock, jazz, and reggae into that band. Boy, everybody in the Police really contributed to the sound of that band, and Stuart Copeland is definitely an important part of that band's sound. Once again, cannot picture anybody else playing drums besides Stuart Copeland. Had such an amazing style. I don't think I've ever heard anybody play drums quite the way he does. Gosh, really check out any of the albums by the Police. Unfortunately, they didn't really have that many, but I guarantee you, you will find some fine examples of Stuart's drumming. Coming in at number 2, the Professor on the drum case, Mr. Neal Pierce. What can you say about Neal that hasn't already been said? He's just a superhuman drummer. He did things in rock that nobody else had done. Played a huge kit and used it. I am normally not as much of a fan of double bass drummers, but Neal was definitely the exception. I feel like a lot of drummers who use the double bass drum don't use it to good effect, and it just becomes a crutch to them. But Neal knew how to play the double bass drum. He knew how to add it into the sound. Obviously, no one could picture Rush without Neal Pierce in it, and he was also a fantastic lyricist. So coming in at number 2, the amazing Neal Pierce. Coming in at number 1, and number 1 and number 2, by the way, are just so doggone close. But I've got to go with Mr. John Bonham, Bonzo, on the drums. The amazing footwork that he had on the bass drum is just phenomenal. He has been imitated and copied so many times, but nobody quite gets that sound that he had. A lot of people just talk about the power that he had, which was exceptional, and an exceptionally powerful drummer, but he also had a finesse to his playing. It wasn't just about, beating the hell out of the drums. An amazing drummer. He also had a little bit of jazz influence into his drumming, but he turned it into a very heavy sound. He was also known, of course, for his long drum solos during Moby Dick, where he would put the sticks down, play with his hands. Did an amazing job of that. A lot of times it sounds like he's playing a double bass drum, but he is not. It's just that his footwork was so amazing. That was the key to that fantastic sound that he had. And once again, Led Zeppelin without John Bonham would never have been the same. He was just as important probably as Jimmy Page or John Paul Jones in the sound of that band. Jimmy Page knew what he had when he listened to John Bonham and kind of built some of the songs around John Bonham's sound. So anyway, those are my 5 favorite drummers. Curious on what some of you think about that. And by the way, I just went for rock drummers. I didn't go for any other genres. I didn't want to get into jazz and big band drummers. I love a lot of those drummers, but I just went strictly for the rock drummers in this. Those are my top 5. And make sure, if you have not checked out Robert's on my turntable, you please go check him out, because he has a fantastic channel. He does some really good in-depth looks at the catalogs of some bands. If you go back to look at some of his older videos, and he does a lot of really great vinyl finds. So I really enjoy his channel. I will try to leave his link down below so you can go check him out if you haven't, and give him a sub. Until the next time, my friends, I'm Gary. This is Physical Format Rock and Roll, and I will see you down the road.